Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 28th episode of the Midwest Donut Review Show. I'm Dave Leggett in St. Louis, Missouri. That's my son, Eric Leggett, in Sacramento, California. Eric, how are you doing this fine Friday?
I'm doing pretty good. Got
good
parking last night, so I didn't have to walk half a mile to my car this morning. Got good parking coming back. I can't stop winning.
You need to buy a lottery ticket.
Absolutely.
And has the weather changed from kind of crappy and overcast and cold?
Yeah, we got like a 3-day stretch where it was like high 70s, low 80s. You were like, spring's here, baby. And then it like immediately fell back to like 65 and overcast. And I think it's supposed to rain like all next week. So we got a little taste. We got a hint of what's to come here in Sacramento. To wet our
so your days at the beach are going to be limited for a little while?
Well, there's no beach in Sacramento.
But if the weather's nice, you'll drive to a beach.
Yeah, but where the beaches are here, the weather's just always nice. So.
Oh, damn it.
I can go to a beach whenever I want to.
Okay, so if you are new to the Midwest Donut Review Show, welcome. Here's what we do. Eric and I both attempt to buy the same 3 donuts, him on the West Coast, me in the Midwest. We will size them, we will take pictures, we will price them, and singularly, most important, we will taste them and let you know if that's a donut you need to eat from that donut shop. So, as we start most shows, we are going to go to Eric with his donut news of the week.
Yes. So this comes to us from Food Navigator USA. And this is titled, Health Food Donut? Baked goods startup finds sweet spot with allulose. Allulose is a popular sweetener in the burgeoning better-for-you baked goods category, with brands like Planet Bake, Drumroll, and others using the ingredient to reduce or eliminate sugar. That's insane. Started in 2020, Planet Bake offers 0 sugar and gluten-free donuts, available in dark chocolate, vanilla, blueberry, and cinnamon, and which contains 150 to 190 calories per donut. Now, they put photos of all the donuts here. They look okay. I will say the blueberry one looks fake. It looks like photoshopped in or something. So, that one looks a little weird. But in terms of, like, health food donuts, which I am all too familiar with, these look not half bad. They look like...
edible?
They look like...
That's it.
Just like Entman's donuts, kinda. Oh, they look a little bit like that. Planet Bake taps into the permissible indulgence trend by formulating with allulose, a natural sweetener with a similar taste to sugar. Brand founder and CEO Catherine Henan, shared during her time backpacking Natural Products Expo West. Allulose has 0 impact on the glycemic index, combined with all the other ingredients, where the research shows that they help regulate blood sugar, fight inflammation, and all the good stuff. So we combine all of that and make it into a health food donut. So it's not just like a sugar-free donut. It is a donut that is healthy. It's not just a donut without the bad stuff. It's a donut with good stuff.
Okay. I'm cautious.
Yeah, I've never had allulose before. Never heard of it either. So, I don't know. When it says it's similar to sugar, I'm cautious with that. I don't know how similar to sugar you can get without being sugar. Sugar's pretty basic. The sweetener, it says, does not really have that intense aftertaste that you get from a stevia or monk fruit. I'm somewhat familiar with stevia, and I will agree with that. There's a bit of a lingering stuff with stevia. It's, again,
You're too young for this, but there was the first sweetener that came out in the 70s was saccharin, and it had such a bitter aftertaste. It went away until the chemists were able to come up with something more palatable for mass consumption in the U.S. So I imagine this is just continuing down that path.
Yes. It says here, FDA regulations allow allulose to be labeled differently on nutrition fact labels than other sugars, since it impacts health differently and does not promote tooth decay or raise blood glucose or insulin levels like other sugars. So it's not... So it's like a completely different sugar substitute that has none of the bad things associated with sugar, I guess. Most consumers still do not know about allulose's benefits, Hina noted. Planet Bake is filling the lack of allulose education with informative Instagram and social media posts, she added. So yeah, donuts with a good sugar, I guess.
Does it say what this allulose, is it good for the heart rate or the blood pressure or is it an elimination of bad things, or is it actually a benefit of good things?
I mean, it said earlier, with allulose combined with the other ingredients in the donut, it says they help regulate blood sugar, fight inflammation. So allulose by itself, I guess, isn't actively helping. But if you pair it with other, I guess gluten-free and stuff of that, family, it becomes something healthy.
Okay.
So health food donuts, not just donuts without good stuff in it.
Well, I will take a look around and see if St. Louis, and if you'll do the same for me, if there's anything in Sacramento.
Yeah, I'm gonna
check out.
I'm gonna assume
health food.
I'm gonna assume I probably have more in California than you do in Missouri. I bet health food donuts are a little more popular.
James Beard throws out awards to St. Louis chefs just like they do California chefs. So there's vegan and gluten-free donuts here in St. Louis. So, I'm going to check it out, and I'll have an update on health food donuts on our next show here in St. Louis.
All right.
With a big question mark. Okay. That is Eric's Donut News of the Week for episode number 28. And now it is my turn to talk about donuts around the world. And this is a special edition. I am going to focus on the cities that will have NHL playoff teams. As I've covered St. Louis so well, there's one check off the list.
Cold shot.
So my first is, since this is going to take 16 weeks, 16 shows-ish, to cover the whole thing, and it ends in June, I got to hurry. So I'm going to do the teams that I think may not go to the second round. So my first city...
You did Minnesota, didn't you?
So I guess we've done two. So that's good. My city today is Ottawa. They have two sort of go-tos if you're looking for donuts in Ottawa. First is a mom and pop shop called Holy Confections. Holey. Mom and pop shop. Started with one, they now have three, but they're still mom and pops. Their specialty is the 140-layer croissant donut.
Jesus.
So it's a beastie to start with. Their hashtag is Diet Starts Tomorrow, which I love.
I'd say in like 2 days, because no way you eat that thing all at once. That's insane.
Well, the first thing you need to know is that they are $5.80 Canadian, which is $4.10 US. So it's a specialty donut.
Oh, yeah.
but they are gorgeous. Most of the glazes are vegan and dairy free. Some of their specialties, Charlie Brown. It is similar to a Boston cream, but huge. Because you're getting 140 layers of croissant dough. And then you're getting the cream and the chocolate glaze. God. A Carmelo, which they use a salted caramel glaze. They have a New Yorker, which is a strawberry cheesecake filled croissant donut. It has cream cheese icing and a graham cracker pie crust.
That sounds really good.
They have a fall and apple, which is apple pie and apple crisp. If they met and fell in love and had a baby, it would be the fall and apple. So that is Holy Confections, 3 spots in Ottawa. Also mentioned a ton everywhere is Susie Q Donuts. They also have 3 locations. However, they also provide donuts to 8 other locations in Ottawa, including the casino, cafe, bookstores. So they are everywhere. They're making a ton of donuts. They're old-fashioned. Here's what I thought was really interesting about Susie Q. Their old-fashioned donut is sour cream and nutmeg. Ooh. So a little twist on it. And you'll find that throughout their donuts because they have a lemon thyme twister, the spice. Mm-hmm. It's a vegan donut that has tart lemon and a thyme glaze. So they're using the spices
that sounds pretty good.
Back off the sugar, that can be an overly sugary flavor. Raspberry cassis, raspberry and black currant glaze with a white chocolate drizzle. They also do something called a sugar monkey, but it's not like a monkey.
What other monkey is there?
Munkki. It is a traditional Finnish donut.
Oh.
So there are, see what I'm saying?
I mean, like in Finland.
Yeah, in Finland. It is covered in sugar and cardamom. Ooh. So again, with the spices and the sugar. They also do something called a strawberry rhubarb. It's a sugared yeast filled with strawberry and rhubarb. Have you ever had rhubarb?
I don't think so.
So, growing up, one of my mom's specialties was to take fresh rhubarb and turn it into a jelly. It's a root fruit / vegetable. I'm not sure about the seeds for it, but it's generally considered a fruit. And my mom would make a rhubarb pie.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And she would also make rhubarb jelly that my whole family would put on biscuits. So instead of biscuits and gravy, we would do biscuits and rhubarb jelly. Now, I will be honest, as a kid, I was kind of a jack-o'-lantern, and I never really gave it its proper... I was like, ugh, it looks weird. So I did not enjoy the rhubarb pies and jellies like the rest of my family did. But as a grown-up, now I'm like, oh yeah, I should have started rhubarb earlier. So that's a very unique ingredient for a donut place. Now, their donuts are $6.99 Canadian, which is $4.90 in the U.S. So certainly, this is a designer donut joint.
Yeah, it is.
If you get a dozen, it does go down to $55 Canadian, which is about $3.50 each for U.S. So, man, and could you imagine you walk in with a dozen of these donuts?
Yeah. I mean, I guess
people would.
I guess you kind of have to do like fancy stuff if you do your own donuts, because like Tim Hortons is so big up there. Like,
yes,
to just be a standard donut shop and try to compete with Tim Hortons, I imagine is really, really difficult.
Yes, this is a niche.
So you kind of have to do some elevated and some fancier stuff.
Yeah. So 140 layer croissant is way different than anything at Hortons and Susie Q using spices.
Yeah.
And finally, There's a place in Gatineau called the Cafe Dough Company. It's my first time coming across a hockey donut. Mm-hmm. It's called the Hat Trick. It features chocolate icing, a chocolate biscuit, because you got to put the biscuit in the basket, right? And it also has a vanilla glaze on it. So 3 different kinds of sweet in the Hat Trick donut. They also do a Canadian Elvis, which is a peanut butter and banana frosting with bacon on top.
That sounds good.
They do a cherry and berry cheesecake donut. And they have the Matt Damon donut. I looked everywhere, and I don't know why they've chosen Matt Damon.
Yeah, what? I can't think of a single thing about Matt Damon that you would turn into a donut.
Well, wait until you hear the ingredients, and then you'll be even more confused.
Okay. The first
apple cider.
Okay, I was going to say, before you said apple, my first thought is his line in Good Will Hunting was, how do you like them apples? So I'm assuming it's apple. That was my first guess.
You know what? That's absolutely right. I was thinking of the Boston connection, but you're right. That is one of the most famous lines he's uttered.
Yeah.
Apple cider caramel, apple cider pie filling. So it's not just apple filling; it's apple cider
pie.
Yes, and apple streusel is spread on the top. So it's a seasonal donut. Currently, they have the Matt Damon. The really good news...
Naming it the Matt Damon, I think, is a little wild. Maybe, name it after the line, or good, but just straight up going, this one's Matt Damon's donut. Like, if Matt Damon walked in, I bet he would be pretty confused. I think it would take him a little bit to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But
here's the best news of the 3. Their donuts are $4.50 Canadian, which is only $3.35 US. So not outrageous. I mean, you honestly, and I have purchased donuts.
For those donuts for $3.50, those sound pretty excellent. That's a pretty good value.
Yeah. So Ottawa is our first NHL playoff or third NHL playoff city that we've covered. So on to the meat and potatoes of this show, man. What does a frickin' donut taste like? Where did you go? How big is it? Tell me about that glazed donut, Eric.
So today I went to Dragonfly Donuts. This is 5049 College Oak Drive in Sacramento, California. I'd say this is a pretty new shop. I think it's been open maybe about a year, maybe a little over a year. So yeah, pretty new. I will say the hours are not nearly as extensive as other donut shops are. This is 6:30 a.m. to 12. So you're getting, what is that, 5.5 hours?
Yes.
That is much shorter than a lot of other donut shops. They are open 7 days a week. Also, just to start off with a negative, unfortunately, I have to. So they open at 6:30. I got there around 7:15. I was the only person there. Only car in the parking lot either. I walk in and they have about 3 trays of donuts in the case.
What?
I walk in.
Was it empty trays? Like you missed the mad rush at 6:30?
No, they were full trays, and they hadn't put enough out yet to fill the case, and it's not a big case either. So there were only 3 trays of donuts there, and they go we have more in the back. It's I'm sure you do, but I don't know what's back there. I can't just be naming off donuts willy-nilly off the top of my head. Do you have this one?
Are you gonna? Where's Waldo Donuts?
Yeah. So, look, I don't think showing up 45 minutes after they opened is super early. Look, if I showed up at 6:30 and got there as soon as they opened and they had 3 trays of donuts in the case, okay, yeah. But 45 minutes. I need a little more here, folks. So, not a great start. And so I ended up just getting some donuts that I normally wouldn't get as for my extras today, just because those were the ones that were out, and I didn't, I can't just start naming donuts. So my glazed donut today was 4 inches across, 1.5 inches tall. This was a beautiful looking glazed donut, big and fluffy. Yeah, just a gorgeous looking glazed donut. This one was $1.75, which I'd say is on the more expensive end, but again, not as bad as last week by any means. The glaze on this was really good. I just don't think it was glazed enough. Obviously it wasn't glazed on the bottom, but usually glaze starts to like drip down to the bottom and you get a little bit of it. But this one, it was like sides and that's it. There was nothing on the bottom.
Like they're trying to save money on the glaze.
Yeah, like
is there a less expensive ingredient in your store?
Yeah, there was really just not enough glaze on this donut. The texture of this donut I did really enjoy. Like I said last week, the glazed donut looked like it was going to be this big, thick, and fluffy kind of dough, and I bit into it and it really wasn't. This one absolutely was. This was like pretty much exactly where I like my glazed donut textures to be. So I think they really nailed it with that. The glaze tasted really good. I think I just needed more. But the size of this, I think, was really excellent. $1.75 isn't terrible. So I think I want to give this like a 3.7. It wasn't, out of this world.
That's a little better than normal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd say it was better than normal. I think the size and the look of this donut really pushed this towards the better end.
So what size is that glazed donut again? I'm sorry.
4 inches across and 1.5 inches tall.
Okay. So that's what you think a big glazed donut is.
For out here.
Oh, okay. All right. So my donut place today is called Helfer's Pastries. It's a bakery that does donuts. And as we have seen on previous shows, some bakeries should stick to the bakery stuff and quit using the donut as an afterthought. This is a mom and pop shop at 380 St. Ferdinand Street in Florissant, Missouri. One of their highlights is that they have a cake mixer from the World War II battleship USS Missouri.
Oh my God.
When they were parting it out, the owner was able to procure it, and they still use it. This thing is a beast. There was a local television show that had a 10 or 15 minute segment at Helfer's, and it is a big old piece of steel. I mean, it's a beast, and they still use it, and that's great. So my first glazed donut from Helfer's Pastries, 4.5 by 4 3/4 inches round, 1 3/4 inches tall. This is a big glazed donut, $1.35. So a really good price. Big donut. Does big mean great? Nope. But on the inside, it is fried very well. Oh, baby, they know what they're doing at the bakery. It's got a great rustic look. You'll be able to see that in the pictures. It melts in your mouth after you bite it. You don't chew and chew and chew. The dough by itself with no glaze is tasty all by itself. The glaze, it is a great flavor glaze. A little bit of a knock for me is that it flakes off. I prefer more of a glaze than a crispy.
Yeah.
That glaze that you should be eating is falling on your mouth and on the table and on the plate. So a little bit of a knockdown, but man, otherwise, that's a really excellent, a big ass honking glazed donut. Pop a lid off with 12 of those in it, and your coworkers are in heaven. So that's a 4.3 for me.
Yeah.
This is not an afterthought. This glazed donut, at Helfer's Pastries is excellent. So, really great start. I've been just on a run of great glazed donuts here lately.
Yeah. So our second donut today is a chocolate long john. My chocolate long john, 7 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and an inch tall. This definitely did not get the raise as much as the other yeast donuts did. Like, this definitely is a little flatter than I'd like my long johns to be. But this long john, the dough texture, I think is exactly where it should be. My favorite thing about donuts, what I love the most, what pushes the donut over the edge for me, is when it's not filling. Of when I can have a really good donut and not be filled up and go, I can also have another donut. And with long johns, sometimes just because of their size, you run into that kind of problem. And I did not have this issue with this long john at all. The dough was super light and airy and fluffy. I mean, I want to say perfect. This is exactly where your yeast dough should be. There.
Did you just say perfect?
I'm trying to think of what I would change about the texture of this dough, and I can't think of anything. It's super light. It's not doughy. It's not chewy. It's exactly what you want it to be. And the chocolate icing, I think, was also really good. I really liked the texture of it. It wasn't super thick. It didn't overpower the donut at any means, and it definitely was a chocolate flavor. It wasn't fudgy. It wasn't super chocolate, that kind of flavor. I'd say it was a more like timid chocolate flavor, but it wasn't just sugar, which is really good, especially with how much you're getting on a long john. If it's just sugar, that kind of ruins the whole donut. But it was a good chocolate flavor. The thing is, this was a $2 donut.
Ooh.
Man, $2 for a donut, for a standard donut, for me, is just a little too much. I think this should be the same price as your glazed donut. This wasn't filled. This didn't have anything special on it. It's just a long john with chocolate icing. And so $2, I think, is just too expensive for this donut. So unfortunately, that's gonna bring it down for me. So
sure.
So I want to give this like a 3.9. I think this is just a couple steps away from being a really, really excellent donut, but a $2 price point, I think, is just too expensive.
Price matters.
Yeah.
If you have two donut places that offer you great donuts, and one is $1.50 and one is $2.50, it's clear where you should go get your donuts. Yeah. I'm not talking about keeping the lights on. You have to charge more to keep the lights on. It's just
we've shown earlier that you can get a better price for a long john here in Sacramento.
Right.
This is not $2 is not like your standard average. This is more expensive, and you're not really getting anything markedly better or markedly different than the cheaper options.
Okay. All right. So my second, also the chocolate iced long john, same exact size, 7 inches, 2.5 inches wide, 1 inch tall. I also had that same idea that this raised dough was not in line with what I've seen in other long johns. Anybody who's watched the show before would know long johns are not in my top 10 of donuts that I love to eat. So it's, for me, to impress me with a long john, you really have to do it well. This one is not. The dough by itself, when you just bite the dough and you don't get any of the icing, the dough is very blah. It's uneventful. It's plain. It doesn't taste awful, but it's just there. I don't think it's fried as well as the glazed donuts were. And if you're going to set yourself apart with a chocolate iced donut, make that chocolate icing great. This is way too sugary and grainy. It is the very idea of a quick trip Long John. I know. Part of the saving grace, it's $1.45. This is a specialty donut, and it's 10 cents more than all their regular donuts. It's a big donut, and you would be filled, and you would not go broke. But it's just not a great combo. The chocolate icing is not good. It's not fudgy. And I know a bakery can do a fudge icing. I know they can. So if they're hiding it on something else, and their bakery stuff is just, it's Instagram worthy, I guess. It's just beautiful stuff. But this Long John is an afterthought. That's how I kind of feel about this. This is a 3.0. People will be filled. They won't spend a lot of money, and it's an okay donut.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Yeah.
With the chocolate ice Long John from Helfer's Pastries.
So our third donut today is a glazed jelly-filled donut. Mine was 4¼ inches across, 1¼ inch tall. This one was also $2, which this one I kind of understand, filling and that kind of stuff. I kind of get the bump for $1.75. This donut is a perfect example of how not to fill a donut. When you fill a donut, you fill it from the sides, not straight in the center, which this one was. What? Just a bad eating experience. I took 4 bites and got no filling. And then I was at the center of the donut where all there was to bite was the filling. It's gotta be, I need donut and filling in each bite. Not donut filling. And it was like leaking out of the bottom. So the bottom kind of got soggy. This is not...
I believe in film parlay, that's called the money shot.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Horrid. But this is not how you fill a jelly donut. Just straight off of that, you cannot have a filled donut experience like this. It was just ridiculous. The glaze again was good. I really liked the dough. They've nailed their yeast dough at Dragonfly Donuts. They know what they're doing over there, and when it comes to making their dough and perfecting that. The filling, honestly, was just okay. It was like... What?
There was a lot of jelly in this donut.
There was a lot of jelly in my donut 4 bites in. Because I had no more donut to eat. Because it was just filling. And it really... It was a raspberry jelly. And something I like with a raspberry is like a little bit of tartness. And I got none of that with this filling. It was pretty much all sugar.
You are convinced it's a canned jelly,
Yeah,
aren't
I
you?
think this is a canned. And I really just can't get over how terribly filled this donut is. You do not fill it just in the center. It was like if you took a regular glazed donut, like the glazed donut we had before, and just kind of put jelly in the little hole. That's how this filled. That's how this was filled. I'm sorry, that's inexcusable. That's a ridiculous way to fill your donuts. And the filling really wasn't that great. And it's $2. I would have given this like a 3.
I was surprised you actually went to the 3s.
Yeah.
Considering
I think
the method and the price.
What saves it really is the glaze is very good and the dough is really, really excellent. So in those first 4 bites where you're not getting any filling, you're at least like, well, at least it's like a glazed donut, and that's pretty good.
I've purchased a jelly donut, but it's not bad for a glazed donut.
Yes, it's not. This jelly-filled donut isn't bad for a glazed donut. Yeah, no.
As far as glazed donuts go, their jelly donuts not bad.
Yeah, they've run into, they want them to look aesthetically pleasing because it looks good from the top with the little filling on the top, and it's a big round donut. It looks good, but in terms of like actually eating this donut, completely ridiculous way to fill your donut.
It's a fork and knife donut, and they just forgot to give you the fork and knife.
Yeah, it's like a fork and a spoon. So you take off a thing, and then once you get to the filling, you spoon the filling like it's a fucking soup.
Yeah. Okay. I'm frankly surprised it still got a 3.3 out of you.
No, sorry. No, 3.
A 3.
This is plain
okay.
3.
Okay. All right.
I was thinking if I should tack another number onto it, and I was like, no, just a 3.
3. Okay. This glazed jelly-filled donut from Helfer's Pastries, really good. Really good. It's got the great glaze. It does flake a little, but it's that great flavor. It's sweet, but not sickly sweet. The dough by itself, when you take a small bite on one of the sides where there's no jelly, very tasty. That is not the same dough that they're using for their Long Johns. Simply, it is a different dough. It's a different vibe. When you pick it up, it's heavy. You almost feel like the jelly's going to fall out the bottom. That's a heavy donut. I should have put it on a scale. It's 4 inches around. It's 1.5 inches tall, so a really good size. It is a specialty donut, so it's all the way up to $1.45 for this big honkin' heavy jelly glazed donut. The raspberry jelly is tart. It's sweet and it's tart. So I know they're doing something, and it has seeds in it. Ooh. There are seeds in this raspberry jelly. All positives. Everything here is positive. Great glaze, great dough, lots of jelly. I'm glad I was off camera. It was quite embarrassing how the jelly just exploded. So based on all of this, with the special effort to make the glaze great, to make the raspberry jelly great, heavy, big, great price, 4.2. Probably one of the best jelly donuts I've had since we've been doing the show.
I'm supremely jealous. I fucking love a jelly-filled donut. And the fact that mine was frankly undignified is upsetting to me.
That's not a term you hear thrown around with donuts too much.
What?
Undignified.
That's the way it was, man. I don't know.
Okay, so if people are going to your shop to get a donut, what are they buying?
I mean, a glazed donut, I guess. I don't know, man. I didn't see what was there. They didn't have enough out there to... I'd say out of the 3 we took today, I think grab the glazed donut.
Is it a speakeasy and you just didn't have the password?
It was definitely all there. They had big open sign flashing. I will say today they had a blueberry old fashioned, which I got. I haven't eaten yet, but I've never fucking heard of that before in my life. So yeah,
and I had that chocolate old fashioned last show for the first time in my life. So keep the different flavors coming, and that is a little bit of the downside of us only doing 3 donuts at each place. There could be other donuts there that are better, that are awesome, and we just haven't picked that donut at that shop on that day. So go to the shop armed with what we've told you, so you know maybe what to avoid. Yeah. And maybe what to give a shot to. Like if you know that the dough is bad in the glaze donuts, don't buy yeast donuts there. Try the cake donuts. Try the fritter. Try the croissants. Something else. So again, go to the mom and pops. We're not saying don't go to
Yeah.
these shops. We're saying
Yeah.
maybe not
Yeah, like
these
whatever
donuts.
scores we
but,
give them will always be infinitely better than a Dunkin' or a Krispy Kreme.
oh my God.
Those
that's
donuts will never crack, what, a 2? A Krispy Kreme or a Dunkin' will never be higher than like a 2. So like, no matter what scores we give these donuts here, they will always be better than a chain.
Plus you're not feeding
Yes.
the beast. You're helping mom and pops, man. That's the goal here. All right. So as we normally wrap up most shows, we turned inside of Eric's brain to see how he is on the trivia time. Dun 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 dun. We are going old
Awesome.
for today's trivia.
Is that old for me or old for you? Because old for you is like 18.
Old for everyone watching.
God.
The first appearance of a donut in a movie was in the 1914 Dough and Dynamite. Who was the incredibly famous star of the 1914 movie Dough and Dynamite?
Charlie Chaplin.
Yes! See? See what I'm saying? It's in there.
What single person can I name that were in movies where they didn't have sound?
There you go. See? 1 out of 1. Here we go. Now we're going to get more modern. Which famous actor dunked his donut in someone else's coffee in the 1933 comedy Duck Soup? I will give you a hint. He was not an actual brother.
What? He was not
1933 Duck Soup comedy.
the Marx Brothers?
Yes.
Oh fuck!
Which
Which one? I can only remember Groucho. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it was Groucho Marx. There
I
you
was
go.
lucky.
Look
I
at
can't
you.
think of the other two in this. I think don't they have weirder names? Isn't Groucho like the normal one?
Harpo,
Yep, weirder.
Chico,
I guess Chico's the most normal one.
and the fourth brother, Zeppo,
There's 4?
who was actually the clean-cut, gorgeous hair, slick-back singer. Yeah, he was totally not a ramshackle like the other three brothers. So, Groucho Marx, look at you. 2 for 2. From 1914 and 1933. Wow. We're going to get even more modern, sir. Which recently deceased actor played a cop who ate a donut in the 1971 movie French Connection? He won the Academy Award for Best Actor. French Connection won the Academy Award for Best Movie. And the hint, Popeye Doyle was his character.
Okay.
Which
Terrible
actor?
hint, by the way. Because you said recently deceased, which sucks, my mind went to Gene Hackman.
It is Gene Hackman. Look at you.
Yeah.
You were so negative when the trivia started. And you go 3 for 3.
That's how I work.
And it's
Start the
it's
jokes.
all
Everything
donuts.
goes up from there.
So, if there's a donut nugget out there, I'll find it. And I will trivia question you about it.
Did you ever hear that story of Gene Hackman? I can't remember what movie he was on. But it was some story where he was like talking to a younger actor. And Gene Hackman's like, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do after this. And he was like genuinely like worried about like his career. It's like Gene Hackman was worried about his career. Like, what? Dude, you're good. You're Gene fucking Hackman. I think you'll be able to find work after this.
Yeah, I believe he had a 60-year career.
Yeah.
And he actually Royal Tenenbaums, I believe, may have been his last movie, and he was excellent in that. He was such an ass, as he needed to be. And then I believe maybe he took 12, so he retired 12 or 14 years before he passed. So it's not like he kept, trying out for Adam Sandler movies just to get a paycheck, Yeah, so he went out on his own terms in the movie business, and Academy Awards, and well respected, and so fabulous. And you, 3 for 3. It's been a minute since you went 3 for. All right, so that wraps up show number 28 of the Midwest Donut Review Show. How can people join in this fun, Eric?
The best way to do it is to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there. Subscribe and follow the show on Apple Podcasts if you're listening there. Commenting and liking the YouTube videos. We'll see all that. Rating the show on Apple Podcasts, reviewing the show. We'll see everything there. Most importantly, just sharing it on your social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you're doing your social media thing, sharing the show there. Just gets more eyes on it and more interaction.
And so it also would give us ideas of where you'd like to see us head next. There's a place maybe that we haven't heard about that did just open up, or is a hidden gem, something like that. Maybe the place doesn't have a spectacular display of donuts, but they do 4 or 5 so well. We want to know about that too, so we can go check it out and give you our opinion of the shops as well. So that wraps up number 28. Eric, I appreciate the time very much. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you. Oh my, we are close to our surprises.
Oh yeah, we are.
We are close to the Midwest Donut Show surprise. Oh, I'm not giving any more than that. Eric, anything necessary beyond that?
I think it's just something that you'll want to see. You will absolutely want to tune in.
It's a specialty show coming up. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. All right, so we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dave in St. Louis. That's Eric in Sacramento. Have a great day, everybody.